A while back, my school made the unfortunate switch to an online platform for assigning tasks and monitoring student progress. Little did we know that this transition would turn our lives into a living nightmare. The teachers took advantage of the platform, bombarding us with an overwhelming number of assignments, even during holidays. The most infuriating aspect was the platform's ability to track our activity, flagging any assignment as late if we opened it even a minute past the deadline. To make matters worse, these assignments carried a weightage of 50% towards our final grades, with the remaining 50% allocated to exams. As the platform became deeply integrated into our school routine, a downward spiral ensued. Almost everyone's grades plummeted, with most students experiencing a drop of at least one letter grade. While we understood the importance of completing our work, it was simply impossible to keep up when every teacher expected us to submit assignments by 9 p.m. on the same day they were given. On top of that, our school required us to log our extracurricular activities on the platform, along with regular reflections and supporting evidence. Failure to comply would result in failure for those activities. We attempted to reason with the school administration, but their response was disheartening, dismissing our concerns with statements like, "Students should obey their teachers, and back in our day, hard work was the norm." After enduring a winter vacation filled with over 40 assignments within a span of 2 weeks, I reached my breaking point. Revenge became an irresistible temptation. Digging deeper, I discovered that our school utilized an online platform based on a commercially available system. All they had done was host their own version of it on their servers. Interestingly, this platform allowed integration with a file hosting service, enabling students to upload files directly. The school had enabled this feature for assignment submissions and providing evidence for extracurricular activities. Further research revealed that the file hosting service did not offer an unlimited plan and charged fees for every upload and download. Although the prices were relatively low, it seemed the school administration was content with these costs. An opportunity for revenge had presented itself. I enlisted the help of a few close friends, forming a core team to carry out our plan. Together, we embarked on the task of creating a vast database containing thousands of reflections and pieces of evidence. Seeking assistance from our senior students, we were met with enthusiasm as they too had been affected by the platform's tyranny. Even students from other schools using the same platform requested our aid in targeting their own school's servers. Alongside the contributions we received, we dedicated ourselves to drafting an extensive array of reflections and evidence. After 2 months of relentless effort, our database boasted over 5,000 activities and 50,000 supporting records. Leveraging my programming skills, I developed a program capable of accessing the database and seamlessly uploading its contents to the school's platform. Now, here's where things get interesting. In the evidence section, I incorporated a clever trick. My program would first upload a 500 megabyte file, download it, and promptly delete it, an action that complied with the platform's maximum file size limit of 500 megabyte. This process would repeat 50 times before the program finally uploaded the authentic file intended for submission. Additionally, I ensured to thoroughly review the platform's terms of service and privacy policy, which guaranteed that no records of deleted files would be stored. To ensure our actions remained undetected, I programmed the bot to operate between the hours of 3 p.m. and 8 a.m., when teachers and administrators were unlikely to be online. During the remaining hours, the bot would continue running but refrain from uploading fake files, as we couldn't risk the school discovering our scheme. However, executing the plan from my personal computer was out of the question due to limited bandwidth. To overcome this hurdle, I hatched a brilliant plan. My friends and I possessed ADU email IDs, which we utilized to obtain credits from certain server providers. Each EDU email ID granted approximately $100 in credits, enabling us to purchase a basic and affordable server for a month. This server boasted a generous bandwidth limit of 14 terabytes. 8 members of the core team, excluding myself and 3 other friends who had depleted their credits on previous projects, pooled their credits together, amounting to a grand total of $800 or slightly over 56 terabytes of bandwidth. However, before proceeding, I took precautions to ensure our safety. I deployed the program using the ID of a former student whose account somehow remained active, yet the school remained oblivious to our activities. After 2 weeks of rigorous testing, we determined that it was time to initiate the full-scale operation. We opted for a gradual escalation. Using the core team's IDs, we unleashed the bot upon the platform. Within a single week, we had uploaded and downloaded a staggering total of 1.2 terabyte of data. Surprisingly, our teachers expressed great satisfaction with our diligence in maintaining our extracurricular portfolios on the platform. Now, it was time to ramp up our efforts. I obtained platform IDs from an additional 42 disgruntled students, including juniors and seniors who shared our frustration. With the expanded team and the aid of additional servers, we unleashed the full force of the bot, accelerating the platform's impending demise. As 2 days passed, I casually perused the pricing of various file hosting services and stumbled upon a shocking realization. I was costing the school $900 per terabyte. At this point, my statistics page displayed over 8 terabyte of data, uploaded and downloaded. I had caused the school a financial loss of $7,200. However, I eventually decided to halt the bot, realizing that perhaps our actions had gone too far. Although the core team expressed dissatisfaction with my decision, they respected it. Following this incident, a Thursday arrived and we discovered that our math teacher had assigned over 200 practice questions, emphasizing that this assignment would carry an additional 20% weightage in our grades due to the absence of a formative exam for the term. As if that weren't enough, our English teacher assigned 3 essays to be written and peer-reviewed by 3 of our classmates. Then, my breaking point came with the physics assignment, a 30-page investigation task on Young's double-slit experiment, even though we hadn't conducted the experiment ourselves. Instead, the teacher instructed us to utilize an online simulator to collect the necessary data. Frustrated and fueled by a sense of rebellion, I made up my mind to bring this oppressive platform down once and for all. I reactivated the bot, much to the delight of the core team. During this time, we managed to acquire a few more student IDs for the platform. I utilized all of my servers to maximize the impact, and within those 4 days, I facilitated the upload and download of approximately 45 terabyte of data. The estimated cost to the school should have been around $40,000. Later on, the school received a staggering bill of nearly $50,000 for that month. I would have given anything to witness the administrators' faces when they saw that invoice. As expected, the platform was promptly shut down within 3 days. While the school had the option to disable the file hosting service, doing so would render the platform practically useless. Consequently, the burden of assignments automatically decreased, though not to a normal level, as the students, started sending assignments in multiple parts, causing our lazy teachers to face a cluttered inbox that they had to sort through. The final part of this tale is particularly satisfying. Despite numerous arguments with the school management regarding our workload, they couldn't help but acknowledge my IT skills. Seizing the opportunity, I approached the principal and initiated a discussion about granting us a grace period for assignment submissions via email, highlighting the potential delays that may arise. In a casual manner, I mentioned the now-defunct platform and asked if there was a possibility of its return, knowing full well what I was doing. The principal explained that the school had incurred exorbitant expenses for undisclosed reasons, and the platform's infrastructure was deemed not worth the investment. Suppressing a smile, I replied, "Well, I suppose it was the excessive workload imposed by teachers that led to this situation. Perhaps it would be wise to ensure the school's email system doesn't suffer the same fate if we continue to receive an overwhelming number of assignments." While my statement was complete nonsense, my principal, who was not tech-savvy, had no way of knowing that. 3 days later, a new rule was implemented restricting the amount of work each subject teacher could assign to students. I was hailed as the school's savior, as everyone by this point was aware of my audacious scheme. Some may argue that revealing my actions to everyone was unwise, but even the top-performing students and teachers' pets were suffering under the oppressive workload. In celebration of the platform's demise, a sophomore student who was burdened with 8 subjects threw a party for the entire school that week. I hope you enjoyed reading this tale. Please note that this story is set in a private school context, and while private schools are common in my country, the specifics may vary. I have provided amounts in USD for convenience. Several years ago, I had a job working at a gas station convenience store. It was a relatively simple job that involved more sitting than actual work. Overall, I enjoyed the job because it was balanced and the workload was manageable. Most of the customers were pleasant, including some regulars whom I genuinely enjoyed interacting with. Of course, there were the occasional difficult customers, but their behavior was never too extreme or overwhelming. It usually involved someone blaming me for the price of gas or cigarettes, but it was nothing that affected me deeply. The most challenging aspect of the job, at least for me, was the mental toll it took. I found it difficult to watch certain customers continuously spend their money on lottery tickets, convinced that it only takes one. Seeing them return day after day, repeating the cycle, made me question their mindset. Additionally, the entitlement and lack of courtesy displayed by some well-off customers bothered me. I often wondered about their perspective and tried to make sense of it, unnecessarily stressing myself in the process. Nevertheless, it was a good starting job for me. I understand that others may have had different experiences or interactions within the same company, and I respect their perspectives. Now, let me share a petty story about a lady who visited the store to buy a soda. On that particular day, I had an unusual influx of $1 bills coming into my cash register. Typically, I received more $20 bills. To ensure we had enough change, we encouraged customers to pay with the smallest bills possible. Additionally, we didn't keep a large number of $20 bills on hand. We had to deposit them into a safe once they accumulated, and any $50 or $100 bills were immediately deposited as well. Once inside the safe, we couldn't access them. There were instances where I had to refuse service at the start of my shift to customers with only $100 bills. Otherwise, I would have struggled with change for the rest of the day. On this particular day, a lady and her friend entered the store. The lady decided to get a fountain drink and began filling her cup. She repeatedly filled it partially, taking sips each time. This continued for around 5 minutes, and while I wanted to say something, the store owners cared more about customers returning than us doing the right thing. So I stood there annoyed as they practically consumed 2 refills of soda. Finally, she walked over to the counter, having significantly raised her blood sugar, and was ready to pay. Her total came to $1.49. To my annoyance, she rummaged through her wallet, passing over several $1 and $5 bills, only to pay with a $50 bill. It was clear she didn't consider the inconvenience she was causing. She simply stood there waiting for me to give her change, while her friend stood by silently. In that moment, I decided to be petty. I gathered her change of $48.51, all in ones and pennies. I handed her the messy and weighty stack of money, and she had a bewildered expression on her face. Before she could say anything, I simply wished her a nice day. She awkwardly backed away, leaving with her friend, and I continued my shift, feeling a small sense of victory, albeit a petty one. If you've ever been to a grocery shop during the summer, you know how chaotic it can get. This story takes me back to a few years ago. Cast. I see. Ignorant customer. Name. A fabulous ape. M. Manager. W. Worker. I was shopping at Asda, a British equivalent of Walmart, browsing the frozen aisle in search of some veggies, when suddenly I felt a sharp prod on my shoulder. I turned around and came face to face with a Karen. The classic haircut, attitude, and an obnoxious purse. I see. Take me to the Coke section. Me. I don't work here. I see. Yes, you do. Look at your clothes. Admittedly, what I was wearing might have resembled the store's uniform from behind, but from the front, it looked nothing like it. Me. I really don't work here. Please leave me alone. I reached for my phone, an iPhone X, to call a taxi since I didn't have my driver's license. But Karen aggressively swiped at my phone, causing it to fall and shatter as I didn't have a case on it. Me. What the hell? I see. You don't need your phone while you're on the clock. Nay, I don't work here. My outcry caught the attention of a worker, who then alerted the manager. M promptly called the police. As M approached, he intervened, pulling Karen away from me and informing her that he had called the police. Karen lost control upon hearing the word police. She slapped M across the face and even kicked him. Fortunately, the worker, who seemed to have some martial arts skills, quickly restrained Karen, easily overpowering her. The police arrived and began taking statements from all involved, while also reviewing the store's camera footage. During their investigation, they searched through Karen's purse and discovered her ID, which led them to find that she had an outstanding warrant for assaulting an officer, fraud, and theft. As a result, Karen ended up with a substantial fine and community service hours. On the bright side, I received compensation for my broken phone and enough money to purchase the latest iPhone, as well as a new gaming PC. So in the end, it was a win-win situation for me.